We arrived at the last competency, the eighth one. The coach facilitates client growth. This competency is about partnering with clients to transform insights and learning into action. It's also about promoting the client's autonomy in the coaching process. Coaching is a learning process, and we believe it is the best learning process because it is sustainable. It is tailor-made to the client. In all the other methods, in maybe self-learning and training, the person understands what is to be learned and what is to be done, but it is somehow different than who they are and what their life is about. So that learning doesn't really integrate into their lives. In coaching process, we partner with our clients to integrate their insight and learning into their worldview and their behaviors. Imagine a coaching client that understood to achieve everything she wants to achieve in her life, she needs to manage her time. And she has learned that it's about owning the time, planning the tasks that will help her to take care of her time. But somehow this feels too boxed for her because she identifies herself as a creative person. In this case, we partner with our coachee to come up with ways how she can be creatively planning her time. That brings us into the second point of this competency. We come up with our coachees different goals, actions, and methods of accountability that integrate and expand this learning. In the case of our client who wants to manage time but at the same time be creative, our client can set up goals. So we can partner with them to come up with some goals and actions, such as every day they would wake up and imagine that they have a story. They come up with a story of their time. They write the story. Another action can be that they set an intention just before they start working. And when they finish at the end of the time they set for themselves, they have an expression, artistic expression of what has happened, a celebration. And they might come up with a goal of repeating this for the next 5 days and check how they are progressing. They might also come up with an accountability way to take a picture of themselves every time they take this action so that they will be accountable. They will send it to their friends. It's again their creative way of accountability, of goals, of actions. You heard me saying their goals, their way of life. The coaching process is all about the client. It's about them being empowered. It's about them maximizing their potential. In all the things that we do, in coming up with goals, coming up with actions or ways of accountability, it's important that the client has the autonomy. So we as coaches acknowledge the client's autonomy and encourage the client to take more autonomy in deciding how to move forward and come up with ideas. Our work in the coaching process does not end with coming up with actions, with next goals, with ways of accountability, because it's about maximizing potential and creating a stronger sense of who the client is for them and how the life is progressing. We inquire with them the future implications of the actions that they take, of the goals that they are achieving. Take the case of the same client, the creative client who wants to learn time management, practice time management. We can inquire with the client, what will happen once you take these actions, once you achieve these goals? How will that impact your life? How will that impact your relationships? How will that impact your creative life? How will that impact who you are in this world? So we help them to see the bigger picture, how this little action that they are deciding right now actually impacting who they are. So they have the bigger sense of, yes, I am taking action about who I am becoming. And that creates also a way of accountability, a way of progress for them. During the coaching process, we talk about who the client is and who the client is becoming. So we are coaching the who of the client, as it's about their potential. But they are part of a bigger system. We support our client to gain awareness and to connect with this bigger ecosystem when they are moving forward to their goals. We ask them what could be the potential resources that they can reach to, what could support them to move forward. And we also check with them what could be the potential barriers that might hinder them, so that they can plan in advance and come up with different ways to move forward to their desired future. The coaching is a learning process, and the client learns when they are aware of what they are learning. They tell it to themselves, they express it out. That's how we also partner with our coaches in our conversations. We ask them to summarize their learnings between the sessions, but also in the session. That happens especially at the end of the session. We ask them to reflect back what we have discussed, what they have expressed, where they have come from the beginning till the end, and what was the learning they are taking away from our conversation. We do it during the session, but we do it also in the next session. We ask them, what have you learned in the time that we haven't met? Or what have you learned in the time between these two sessions, from your practices, from the actions that you have taken with you? We create this place of reflecting on the learning for our coaches. A big part of growth is the happiness about the growth. So the celebration about the successes and the achievements and the progress. We as coaches acknowledge clients' work and celebrate with them. And we also invite them to celebrate themselves. At the end of the session, it might be a good idea to ask what we can celebrate. But also in the beginning of a new session, we can start with the question, what we can celebrate today, so that the client has this awareness about the growth that they are experiencing. Lastly, when we arrive at the end of a session, we also partner with our clients for that. We partner with our clients to end the session. I usually ask my clients, how would you like to end our conversation? I know some coaches ask, is this a good place to finish? Some are creative and partner together from the beginning in the contracting stage of the coaching relationship. How shall we create a unique way of ending together that will give us a sense of celebration? That they might come up with a certain maybe dance, a certain connection to the client's values, who the client is, or what the goal of the client is. It's really a partnership, creating together an ending for a coaching conversation. With that, we have completed the competencies. We have arrived at the 8th competency. The coach facilitates client growth. I hope you had a great learning experience from the beginning till now, and I hope you are putting all you have learned into practice. we will have lots of time together to reflect on your learnings and make these learnings applicable the way that you coach in your worldview and in your behaviors. I, on behalf of Be Coach Academy, am very happy to see you in our next live training weekend. Take care.